Hey, today I'm going to go over creating patterns in Adobe Illustrator by using the transform each command. So go ahead and open up Adobe Illustrator, go to File New, just hit OK, that's fine. And over here on the Tools palette, if you don't have that, go ahead and go to Window and then Tools. Make sure that and Control palette are up. And click and hold onto the rectangle tool and bring it down to the ellipse tool. Now the ellipse tool, you can make ovals and perfect circles by holding Shift. So go ahead and click and drag out a small circle by holding Shift and click and drag it. Now it has a white fill by default and a black stroke. What I'm going to do is flip those so it just has a black fill, and then click the stroke and hit this none, so set the stroke to none so it has no stroke. And then you can change it from black if you want. I mean, you can use double click on the fill and let's say make it some kind of bluish, okay? And what you want to do is we want to duplicate this, and one way to do that is a keyboard shortcut. If you're on a Mac, hold down Command. If you're on a PC, hold down Control. If you're on a Mac, hold down Option, and if you're on a PC, hold down Alt. So click and hold on to that, and it turns into that double arrow. It's got a black arrow and a white arrow. Make sure you're not hovering over the edge like where it creates that double-sided arrow that you're going to resize it or rotate it. Make sure it's on the actual object. And then click and drag, and you'll notice it's going to duplicate it. If you hold Shift, it keeps it at 45 or 90 degree angles. So I'll just bring it slightly over so there's a little bit of space between the two and let go. Now without deselecting this, don't deselect this or anything yet, go ahead and do Control D. And on Mac, this is where you use the controller command. On Mac, do the Command D. Okay, what that is a shortcut to Object, Transform, Transform Again. Whatever we just did, it applies the same thing to the new selected object. So I'll hit Control D a couple times, and it creates this pattern here. And with the selection tool, you can click and drag around all of it and move it around. And what you want to do, we need this pattern now to move vertically. So click and drag around all of it, hold down Alt on PC, Option on Mac, and click and drag, hold Shift. It'll maintain that proportion or that angle, and then let go, and then do Control D again. And that's a pretty basic pattern that you can create. You can go up to the color guide even, and let's say you want to do analogous colors, and you can click this, and change the color of the different ones. You can make various patterns and shapes in here, and just kind of experiment and try, adding different colors around. You can also delete some of the edges for specific shapes as well. So if you're looking for some kind of unique shape, let's say almost like a continent or some kind of shape of a landmass, you could try that, or any other kind of symbol. You can get the idea there for pretty basic pattern. So I'm going to click and drag around all that, hit backspace to delete it. Now over on the ellipse tool, click and hold and go to the star tool, and click and drag. I'll hold Shift so it's level, and so I have a star here. This is a different way of doing it. Instead of Alt or Option clicking dragging it, go to Object, Transform, and then Transform Each. What this does is it will make it smaller or larger depending on scale. It'll move it, okay, and also rotate it depending on our settings. So go ahead and click Preview, and that will preview where it will move. So horizontal, let's just say I'll just make this 75% of what it was, and 75% of that, and move horizontal. I'm going to click Preview and unclick it, and you'll see a preview of what the new one will look like when you have Preview selected. I'll move it over just a little bit more, okay, something like that. So I have it 85 points over, and I also want to rotate it. I'll just say 16 degrees, something like that, and I'll hit Copy instead of OK. If I hit Copy, that keeps the original, but also produces this new one. What you want to do then, again, we're going to go and do object transform, transform again by hitting Command D or Control D. So I'll do Control D on the PC, Command D on the Mac, and what it's doing is doing the same equation, applying it that we used originally, 75% smaller, 75% smaller, over and over and over. Also the same offset horizontally from the center, even though it looks like they're farther apart, it's from the center of each one is offset, and it's also slightly rotating with each one. Okay, so with this you could actually click and drag and alt click it or option click it, and you could rotate it, and you could create some kind of pattern there. You could also hold down Command and press C, or on the PC Control C and then Control V or Command V, and you can copy and paste it. So you have this pattern here that can be used in illustration design. That's pretty uniform, and you can do a bunch of different things with that transform each command. So if you, for example, went back to, say, rounded rectangle, object, transform, transform each. Again, you can rotate it. You can make it scaled certain ways, and you hit copy and it creates a new one. Of course, you can also go to object transform, move it. You don't really need to use that. You can use a selection tool. Rotate, you can just hover around the corner. But reflect, scale, shear, those are other different ones to transform. But transform each allows you to do specific settings here, and you can also copy any of those and repeat them again with the transform again to create patterns in Adobe Illustrator. Thank you.